Hello. What's up, everybody? It's Yoshinada195 coming at you with another old school gaming commentary from Black Ops 6. And today's episode, what should I do at university? You may have just graduated or you're in your final year of high school and you're thinking, man, I just have absolutely no clue what I'm going to do next year. I don't know if I'm going to go to college. I don't know if I do get into college, what am I going to do? Should I go traveling, have a bucket year and just relax for a little bit and figure it all out? All those kind of questions. And it's sort of something that's been applicable to me in the sense that I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I was put off by it because of how difficult it was. And so I did something a bit more safer and a bit more reasonable, but also questioned that feeling of like, I don't know if this degree is for me later on. But I've seen, and I tutor a lot of students, and I've tutored a bunch of students who have felt like this in the sense that they just have absolutely no clue because it's like this impossible question. So number one kind of bit of advice is realize you're not alone. It's okay. This is a very common thing that I think has happened in the last 10-15 years. But number two, take solace in that almost like 33%, I think 1/3 close to that, change their degree within like the first year or two. So you may try something out at university, do the first term, commit to it, or even the first year, and just think, I don't think this is as fun as I thought it would be. This is not for me. And that's okay. Like, you're not alone. You're really not alone in that boat, because if almost 1/3 of people are changing their minds, then that's a lot of people who still went on to hopefully find their kind of path or career. I'm not going to say they found their calling necessarily, because that could be a little bit more fantastical and dreamlike, but they found something that they enjoy doing or enjoyed enough to bear. And take that, that actual fact with you in the sense that you're not bound to anything, and definitely not even if you finished university. Particularly for me, I've seen like so many engineers. If you're doing engineering, they go into engineering and they do their first internship stig, and they work on a mine site, or they work on an offshore rig, or they go to some sort of office, and they just see like, oh, this is incredibly boring. This is not for me. And then they pivot. A bunch of engineers I know, like one started their own company doing something completely else in the digital marketing space. One's more into AI now with that advent. That job didn't exist when we were around at university. And another one's like into management consulting or just consulting in general. Another one's, other people work in government, for example. So there's different kind of avenues that don't feel like you're ever bound to that decision that you make at university, because later on you can change. The third bit of advice that I kind of like is try to think of, different areas that you might be interested in. Try to narrow down the 3 most promising as best as you could and experiment. Like, give it a shot. Look for it at a uni level, or do it better yet, do it outside if you can. Find a particular job in that sense. But if you don't experiment with different kind of avenues, you won't really know until action is kind of taken. And action kind of reduces uncertainty, it reduces the anxiety that you might feel of like, oh, what if that was good? Well, now that I've actually done the thing, I know if it was good or bad. So don't be afraid to experiment, especially while you're young. You don't have to be committed to something and just like know lifelong, I'm always going to be like this. You ever met those people that just like always knew that they wanted to be a doctor, or they always knew they wanted to be a policeman, and then That's the only thing they had on the mind, and they went out and they did it. And God bless those people, but I kind of wasn't really one of them. I was conflicted between chemical engineering and filmmaking. But I've seen people being very confused, and they're not very direct and frank like those people who just know what they want to do from day one. So don't be afraid to experiment in that sense, and it's okay to realize that you're not one of those people who just happens to know from day one. The last bit of advice that I'll give is essentially that finding real world experience and jobs and internships are way, way more telling than the university degree that you might do, because they tell you a lot of information about what it's like on the job. And on the job is so much more different than what you do at university. Theories, theoretical, learning fundamentals, even the hours that you do at university, flexible, going to lectures if you want to or not, the kind of learning environment, doing tests, exams, all of that is like so different most of the time when it comes to the real world. So, find a job that you can get some experience and talk to people who are doing that job to get really more valued interest and insight into, okay, if I'm going to do this as a 9 to 5, is this person having fun? Am I having fun doing this 9 to 5? This seems like kind of tedious to me. Like, oh my God, is this really the job? Is this the company that I want to work at? I need to find another company or something else out there, because learning about the job and the theories might be fun, but then doing them or doing something else completely entirely, because you don't need to, there's no need for you to learn the theories on the job. You need to do something else. You just need to be aware of them. That might be a whole other, ball game. And that might be one that you don't want to play. So I always encouraged, particularly for engineers, go and do an internship as early as you possible. Make sure that you think this is for you, because my problem was I kind of did an internship a little bit too late, and then really had that sudden kind of realization, oh God, this is not for me. I kind of knew 12-hour shifts on a mine site wouldn't be for me in general, and doing fly in, fly out on a remote, mine site or an offshore rig just didn't seem like the most sustainable kind of environment. But then you go try to do it, and it's really kind of, brings it home. So my biggest tip for that is find something. It could be even volunteering, where you're just doing something in part of that job, and then you're getting some sort of real world feedback mechanism on that. So that's it for me. I think to wrap it up, to sum it up all together, don't feel like you're ever trapped, and if you are feeling anxious, I do sympathize with you, but try to reduce your anxiety by not just sitting there and pondering what ifs and just flying through university without some sort of thought of what's going to happen in the future, because really you want to try to take some action, reduce the anxiety, experiment, try this, try that. You're very young. And get some real world experience. Do some jobs where you're like, man, that was actually really fun, or that was actually terrible. I'm never going back to that job ever again. Do those kind of moments to actually gain more wisdom about what you want to do. And, ultimately try to picture university as this training ground where it's going to now prepare you for future adult you. And sometimes that can be scary, sometimes that can be fun, because you ultimately get to realize that life is in your own hands. And when you leave university, hopefully you want to be a person that kind of is able to embrace that and feel confident in the fact that, yes, everything I have now is on my shoulders, but now I get to actually do some amazing things, or I get to, do a job or earn money and have freedom with my time, with how I want to do it. And I've set it up because that's the way I wanted it. And that's the biggest key takeaway, where you want to set up a life that is kind of run by you. And that's happy that you run it by how you want it. Do what you want and hopefully get paid for the things that you want. That's it for me. Let me know in the stories down below, comments, how did you go through university deciding what to do? Because I'd love to know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.